exit wounds, whenever they are caused by the shotguns, or they can also be caused by the rifled firearms, they have their significance over here. Now, why are they important, and how can they be differentiated from the entry wounds? This is very crucial. They have their own characteristics, and how the different shotguns or different rifled firearms produce different kind of exit wounds. They're also again very important, and we'll be discussing them over here in this section. Now, basically, the shotgun and the rifled weapons and the exit wounds are discussed over here. What is basically the main difference between these kinds of weapons? The estimation of the range of the discharge is discussed over here in this section, and the smooth bore shotguns, how are they differentiated from the air gun injuries? All of these are discussed over here in this section in detail. Now, the exit wounds, whenever we are talking about them, the shotgun exit wounds are again very important. Through and through wounds of the limbs. So basically, whenever the bullet is not inculcated in the human body and it goes out from the other side, this is going to basically form the exit wound. It's basically a through and through wound of the limbs. The removal of the back of head and the burst head is again very important. Tissue disruption and palpations are also quite crucial over here whenever we are talking about the exit wounds. Now, the exit wounds have a lot of jagged appearance, as it can be seen over here in this diagram. It is an irregular laceration with everted margins. The edges are quite everted in an exit wound, as in an entry wound there are inverted margins. So this is basically how we can differentiate the exit wounds from the entry wounds over here. Exit wound from a rifled firearm, as it can be seen over here, and we'll just quickly go through the characteristics of these exit wounds from the rifled weapons. It depends upon the wounding capability of the weapon that has been used to create that injury. The size of the exit wound depends upon the size of the temporary wound cavity. So the wound cavity that was formed after the bullet entered the human body, how much cavitation it has caused, it depends upon the exit wound. The size of the exit wound depends upon this cavitation factor. So the slit-like or the scalloped skin appearances are again very important. The soiling basically indicates the entry. So soiling is a phenomena that is just going to be seen in the entry wound, and the exit wound won't have any soiling or sooting phenomena, or the tattooing phenomena that was seen in a normal entry wound. The spurious abrasion collar is again sometimes seen quite evident in the exit wounds of the rifled firearms, and there are frayed keratin rings also seen in the exit rings. Now, the damage to the internal organs is quite evident. The contusion and lacerations from low velocity impact basically forms the simple mechanical disruption phenomena. So hemorrhage from vessels, it sometimes occur, and that is basically going to be a result of the contusion and laceration, and it is going to prove fatal for the person whosoever has basically embedded such a injury. Now, the temporary disability is again a final outcome of this laceration and contusion, and the wound through the heart or the brain may be quite fatal, because these are the vital organs for sustaining the life. So if there is a wound injury or the bullet enters the heart and the brain, it's going to be quite fatal for the person himself. Now, the high velocity missiles are again very important, and they can cause basically disproportionate damage. So this basically is going to be quite combustive for the human body, and is basically going to be a disproportionate damage. The damage in the solid organs, brain and the liver, is again going to be very important. The pulped and the hemorrhagic tissues are going to be seen in the high velocity missile injuries. Now, the rifled weapons have basically the tight contact over the soft tissues. So basically we are estimating the range of discharge over here. So in rifled weapons, the circular hole with abrasion collar is seen. There is a bruising phenomena. Powder cavity or the pocket is also seen in such injuries. There is local reddening from the carbon monoxide combustion. Little or no external propellant soiling or the powder tattooing is seen in the exit wounds of such tight contact nature. And then we have tight contact over the underlying bone. So there will be a split or cruciate wound, local reddening or carbon monoxide. There will be a bruising phenomena, detached periosteum with soot soiling underneath, and little or no external propellant soiling is seen in such cases of tightly contacts over the bone. The discharge from less than 15 centimeters, basically it's a mid-distant discharge and the circular hole with abrasion collar is seen. The ring of dirt and the soot soiling is observed. There will be burnt hairs, unburnt propellant flakes. Little or no carboxyhaemoglobin is seen in such tissues. Small punctate skin lesions from the propellant tattooing is also observed in such distant lesions. Now, the rifled firearms, if they have a discharge from 15 to 30 centimeters, no soot is going to be observed in such a case, and the powder tattooing is depending upon the barrel length. There will be no carboxyhaemoglobin, and the discharge, if it is from more than 40 to 60 centimeters, the circular hole with abrasion collar is sometimes seen. There is a ring of dirt also seen, and no burning or soiling is observed in such a case. The burnt hairs or carboxyhaemoglobins are also observed in such cases. The tight contact discharge over the soft tissues, they have their own characteristics, and the tight contact discharge over the skull or the bony areas, they have their own characteristics. There'll be a single circular wound about the diameter of a muzzle in such a case, and the exit wound will have smooth margins. They'll have blackened edges, and no smoke, soiling, or the bruising is seen in such cases. There'll be pink tissues and the wards in depth of the wounds. Now, the tight contact discharge over the skull or the bony area is observed, and in this case, the exit wound will be more ragged in nature, and the split is from the grass rebounds. Now, basically, here we are discussing what are the differences if they occur, if the shotgun basically exit wounds occur at different ranges. If the discharge is within few centimeters, it is a mid-distant discharge, then the wound is circular, unless oblique discharge, and the smooth or slightly crenated margins are seen in such a case. The surrounding soot soiling is also observed. There is punctate skin lesions, burnt hairs, that is the signing of the hair, pink carboxyhaemoglobins in the tissues, and wards, that is basically the propellant phenomena, is seen in the depths of the wound. If the discharge is from 30 centimeters, then what will be the characteristics? It's quite comprehensively discussed, and it's easy to remember these characteristics in such a way. There will be a circular rat hole phenomena seen. There is no stellate palate holes. Soot soiling may persist. Powder tattooing is present, and little or no carboxyhaemoglobin is present in such cases. And the wards in depth of the wound are also seen. Now, if the discharges are from 1 to 5 meters, so it's basically depending upon the distance of the discharge. There is a rat hole phenomena, no soot, no carboxyhaemoglobin, slight tattooing at 1 meter, and wards are not found in the wound. Now, if the discharge is over 5 meters, it's a distant discharge, and there will be diffuse palate pattern, probably no central or rat hole is present, no burning, no carboxyhaemoglobin, and no imprint from the wards. So this is quite a comprehensive flow chart describing the distances and its impacts. How can we differentiate the impacts from such distances? Now, the characteristics of the firearm injuries are again very important. They penetrate through the temporal bone, and the human skull can be damaged in such cases, and is rarely fatal. It never produces an exit wound. So it is basically a very weak kind of an injury is observed in such airgun injuries. And the number of the eye injuries are quite common in such cases, and the abrasion ring is again another phenomena which is quite commonly seen in such cases. The stud guns or the black cartridge guns are again very important. They have the captive bolt penetrating injuries seen, and death may be delayed due to the complications. Lethal injuries basically include the air embolism, exsanguination from the injured blood vessels, and the heat ruptures. Talking about the rubber or the plastic bullet injuries, they're less lethal, they're less projectile, and they're less severe injuries are caused in such a case. In talking about the plastic bullets, fractures of skull and the face can occur. There can be eye injuries, broken ribs or limbs, and the contusions of the liver, lung, and spleen are sometimes seen in such cases. So here we discussed very shortly the different type of air gun and the rubber and the plastic wads, and what is basically the effect of the range of the discharges in a lot of cases. So that is the end to this section. Thank you for watching sqadia.com.